Good morning all, welcome to Djuma Game Reserve, and in contrast with a fantastic sunset yesterday evening, we've got a really beautiful sunrise this morning here at Djuma Game Reserve. A sunny Sunday fun day for all of us. Welcome to our morning drive wherever you may be on the planet. My name is Mark and Alex is with me on camera this morning. Brent and Brian have headed off already. They're going to head into the sunrise. We're going to head towards the sunset. We want to head west, and then I'd like to pop into the hyena den if I make it this morning. Magnificent marula tree, one of the biggest we have here on the open area of quarantine. And a new day begins. Hi everybody. Well, we've had some wonderful times with some fantastic animals of late, so I hope we're going to keep that up this morning. Do remember to write in and ask us questions if you want to. Questions at WildEarthTV or hashtag Safari Live if you want to send us a tweet. And we're going to turn our backs to the sunrise for the time being. We're going to head west and we're going to go up to Sandy Patch and Impala Plains and make our way around to the hyena den. Join me for the next few hours and the rest of the crew, see what we can do for you for the next bit of entertainment from Africa. Andrew is in final control and he will be forwarding any questions or comments, queries. Pardon? Good old days. Good old days. Alex and I were trying to work out when last we might have been on camera before I went on leave. I can't really remember. But has been a while. And the original 2010 crew. One of the nice things about a morning like this, with the sun rising, is going to be the colors that we're going to have in front of us. One of the reasons why I thought it'd be nice to head to the west without back to the east. There's a little bit of cloud in the sky. It's quite a dark patch of cloud to the south. Maybe even a little bit of rain still falling in the southern part of the Sabi Sand. Not much of a rain, more like a drizzle. But the cloud is stretching over to the west, and this morning light with the backdrop of slightly dark cloud, just you can see the yellows, the greens, the colors are pretty impressive. The lights on. Oh, it's cold. Must be going to the hyena den, I guess. All this again. What does it take for crossing the road? Interesting to hear from you if you're a new viewer, if you haven't been with us before, if you've only been with us a short time. Let us know where you're viewing from, what part of the world. We're in a... excuse me a sec. We are in the Djuma Game Reserve. Djuma Game Reserve is part of a very large private game reserve known as the Sabi Sand. And the Sabi Sand is so called because there are two major rivers that run through the Sabi Sand Game Reserve. There's the Sand River and the Sabi River. Sabi River in the south that runs through the Kruger National Park into Mozambique. Now the Sabi Sands was incorporated into the Kruger National Park about 22 years ago, 92 I think it was, 92, 93. It was when the fences between the private reserves on the western boundary of the Kruger National Park came down and incorporated the private reserves like the Sabi Sand, Tlisiri, Timbavati, Umbabat, and later on Olifants, Belule, and some of the smaller private reserves up north, providing a much larger area for wildlife to move, but still restricting human movement to the private areas where they have their own sort of set of politics, as it were. Sabi Sand, much like all the other reserves, are a group of private landowners that got together many years ago, decades ago, and decided to conserve a particular area by dropping all of their individual fences, the internal fences, maintaining a perimeter fence. Something was going on here. Hyena, a lot of hyena activity in the road. Your piece is giving trouble today. It looks like one of the hyenas, must have been a bit of conflict or domination going on. It looks like one of the hyena wet themselves, probably out of submission. Not a very usual urine mark that. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a puppy or a dog get very excited, so excited that it loses its bladder. What voids its bladder. So here we are in the Sabi Sands, part of the Greater Kruger National Park. Millions and millions of acres of wildlife, relatively untouched and unchanged by human presence or intervention. Some areas, there were some parts of the Sabi Sand that were once rural, that had cattle. The interesting thing is that conservationists, for many years, conservationists lobbied to have a mirror image park created in Mozambique, and the fences dropped between South Africa and Mozambique to create what we call a trans-frontier park, almost doubling, if not more than doubling, the size of the Kruger National Park on the Mozambique side, which in principle is a wonderful idea, but unfortunately with corrupt governments and poor communities, it has become detrimental. It has become the nemesis of the wildlife in the park, because the villages and the communities that exist still within the Limpopo National Park on the other side of the border have no infrastructure, they have no running water, they have no schools, they have no clinics, they have nothing. They are small villages left to their own devices. The government doesn't care much for them, and they find themselves in the middle of a national park all of a sudden, surrounded by wildlife by which they can make a living. And of course it didn't take long for the rhino in Mozambique to disappear, and now of course they're concentrating on Kruger National Park. And I'd say probably 90% of the rhino poaching that we're experiencing here in Kruger is a result of Mozambicans coming in and shooting our rhino, taking them back to the villages and where they are poaching kingpins who have already got their conduits set up to get the rhino horn to the east, to Vietnam and China. Bribing officials, bribing police. In fact, it's not even bribing police. They control the police, they control the customs, they control, because of the money that they make, they control the entire infrastructure that is needed to get rhino horn and elephant tusk out of the country. Quite sad that in the interests of wildlife a very big national park was made, and perhaps one of the solutions, in my opinion, and I suppose it's only an opinion, something that would take a lot of thought, would be to re-fence Mozambique border. Unfortunately, the cost is going to be excessive, or could be. But what price to pay to save the rhino? There is a negative growth in the rhino population. The number of rhinos poached far exceeds the number of births every year now. So it's not a case of if, there's a matter of when. And anybody who's having children in this day and age is doubtful that they will ever see rhino living as adults. Why the world can't get themselves together and sort this out, I don't know. But it seems that world economy and countries' GDP and national debt seems to be more important than our national or natural heritage. Anyway, enough of that. Look how yellow things are getting. Daily it's changing. Autumn is here, which I suppose means that for a lot of you in the northern hemisphere, you know, spring is starting. Has it sprung yet? Let me know. Wherever you may be, are you experiencing warmer temperatures? Is the snow starting to melt? Did Punxsutawney Phil see his shadow? Elvis, come in. Any station at Mpishi-Kaya? All quiet on the radio. Morning, Carol. Santa Monica, California. Carol is asking whether the monitor that I have on the vehicle, whether I'm seeing what is being broadcast or am I seeing what the camera is seeing. Actually, Carol, it's the same thing. There's my monitor. In this vehicle, the monitor faces me. In the Jigger, you can actually see the monitor, it faces the camera. Slight different setup between the two vehicles. And we don't change it at all, Carol. What I see on the monitor is what you see. It goes straight from us. There, of course, is a slight delay of a few seconds, and that's only because of the time that it takes to travel through the microwave. Smells a bit damp, doesn't it? Must be the dew. Must have been a heavy dew falling overnight. Question coming from Texas. Morning, Sandy. The population of duiker and steenbok here at Djuma. What's the population like? Are they endangered? Sandy, very difficult to count steenbok and duiker. I think the one way to get a remotely accurate assessment would be to understand the territorial size of the individual animal, and both duiker and steenbok, who are territorial, have relatively small territories, and I suppose you could extrapolate. If a territory of a duiker or a steenbok is, let's say, roughly maybe 5 acres, let's say hypothetically, excuse me, and we have about 2,000 acres, or over. Something's chasing Franklin or disturbing them here in the open area called Impala Plains. Well, you can do the math. Call it 2,500 acres maybe. No, 2.2. Let's call it 2,000. Divided by 5. Give you maybe a number, give or take maybe 10% or so. Of course, especially this time of the year, they're not an animal that you can physically count, because the road area, the road surface covers maybe about 5 to 7% of the ground of Djuma, and from the road we can see an extra maybe 5 to 10%. So we're actually only covering a small area of the property visually. Makes it very difficult to count small animals. I suppose in that sense you could say that duiker and steenbok, their populations are very steady, very stable. They're very widespread. Duiker especially, it's not called the common duiker for nothing. They are distributed right throughout sub-Saharan Africa. Oh, Franklin's freaking out. See anything. But duiker and steenbok are not listed on the IUCN database. Morning, Charlie in Minnesota. I'm just looking, he has this single-horned impala. I'm wondering if he's not that one-horned impala ram that I'm trying to get a better angle for Alex. Sorry, Alex. Oh, fantastic. Now there's a bachelor herd of impala that live around Treehouse Dam, Spum Road, which is a fair distance from here. And I noticed yesterday when I saw that bachelor herd that the one-horned ram wasn't with them anymore. It looks like he's set out on his own, if it is the same one. Lost his left horn. Morning, Dove. Right, where was I with Charlie? Charlie was asking about an injured hippo. I know nothing of an injured hippo, Charlie, so I don't know if anyone's seen it again. I'm not too sure what injury it had. So I can't really comment, I'm afraid. I don't know much about an injured hippo. Certainly haven't seen anything or haven't heard anything. Well, I was away for a week before then, and since coming back I haven't heard anything. Okay, wonderful news. Thanks, Ellen. It's just reminding me that many years ago it was decided that March 15th would be designated as Karula's birthday. Since she was born sometime mid-March in 2004, makes her 11 years old. Round about now, but we've decided that today would be Karula's birthday. It was decided many years ago. Chose the date, and so Karula's birthday today. I hope she remembers that she needs to make an appearance for her birthday. Interesting tracks here. Deborah in Ontario. Morning, Deborah. Deborah says she's watched every drive live. Nice to hear from you, Deborah. It's just a little scratch. I'm always scratching myself as I get older. Just the slightest scratch bleeds profusely. And I bruise easily. I guess one of those things when the body ages a bit. I don't know, might have been working on the engine this morning, putting in fluids. Wow, shit, now we need to get here for the sunrise one of these days. Tomorrow it's going to rise at 6 o'clock. Look at this, folks. That's looking sort of almost due east, a little bit southeast, and just hundreds of miles of elephants and impala and giraffe and wildlife. Miles and miles and miles of wonder. With a beautiful sunrise to boot. Let's go see what this hyena family is up to this morning. We haven't been there for a little while. I haven't been there for a while. Hopefully no one down there. Try to get hold of anyone who is. Might be. The try not to have too many vehicles with them at one time. It's nicer to have only one vehicle sitting with the hyena at a time. And well, it doesn't look like any tire tracks turning in, so we'll be the first if they're here. Interesting question from Ruthie in Michigan. Morning, Ruthie. I bet it's still a bit chilly in Michigan. Referring to, I suppose, things like Bigfoot and the Yeti and all those myths of strange things in other parts of the world. Ruthie wants to know if there is anything here in Africa. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I mean, in West Africa, there are a lot of people that believe that there are people who are able to transform themselves into hyenas or lions. I see hyenas, a whole family of hyenas, little ones and older ones, and naughty little brats that are fighting and playing. Morning, children. Are you going to come and say hello? Don't be a bully. I'm guessing this larger one is the one called Ndapandula. And then there are those two little ones. And the one that ran into the hole, the older one, I guess that's little Ntumbela, I think. The one that comes to say hello. Hello, baby child. Copy that, thank you. And if that's one of the mums. I was going to say she's being very gentle, but I suppose every now and then they get a bit rough with the little ones. Morning, Sarah. What age are they allowed to go hunting with the adults? I think from anywhere from 4 to 6 months, I think. So you play a little bit rough, somebody gets hurt. Maggie, how many cubs per litter? I think on average you could say 2. I'm not too sure how many times 3 are born. But siblicide is a very real thing with hyenas. Okay, copy, John. I'm copying him 5 out of 5. Yes. Do I think the little one's being reprimanded for investigating the Land Rover? No. The behaviour is the same whether they're here next to the car. Who was that? Carol, I think. asking the same kind of activities going on, whether it's here or back there. It's all a game. Could be. I don't know. I wasn't thinking of that, but now that you've mentioned it, I'm going to keep an eye on the subtle differences between how they're playing over there and maybe how they play over here. I guess possible. So much happening. Oh, that was a hard knock. Good question, Deborah. Do hyena get any sicknesses like TB? I'm sure they are susceptible to things. I'd have to look it up, Deborah, to see what diseases or viruses they are susceptible to. And clouds burning away, getting some sunshine. Hello, Jack. Jack is in Romania. Whew. Very difficult question because I have no idea how to answer it. Jack's asking if a cub gets stuck in the birth canal, and now the birth canal is a very different thing amongst hyena than it. Ooh. Something gave him a fright. Had the youngsters scampering for the den. Hyena give birth through a very, very narrow birth canal, which opens up at the clitoris. So it must be an exceptionally difficult birth, and painful for that matter. Jack is asking what happens to the mother if a cub gets stuck. Just by the way, you can see the spots starting to come out in this little one, which is now probably going on, what, about 2 months old, maybe, as opposed to the other two youngsters, which are a couple of weeks behind it. Jack, I've never heard of anything, but then again, you know, I suppose hyena giving birth in the den, I doubt whether... So if I pause like that, it's because I need to listen to the radio. I guess the only place that would have been recorded would have been in zoos, and it would be very difficult for that type of thing to be observed in the wild. Once again, something I'd have to look into. I should start by taking notes. I wonder what that is that they've got. Is a piece of, oh gosh, it's a piece of plastic, I think, or cloth. And it has become the toy du jour today, and I wish I could take it away from them. Things like that can blow in. You get whirlwinds that take litter high into the sky and then it wafts over. In fact, Brent was out tracking the other day, came back with a burst balloon, helium balloon, that must have floated over the reserve and popped and dropped. And those are very, very dangerous. They can get wrapped up in the intestines of an animal. Unfortunately, it's not something we can really address at this point in time. I don't think they'd take kindly to me getting out, going to take their toy away. Virginia and Kentucky, are the cubs eating meat yet? Probably not, Virginia. Not until about, I think, 3 months or so. Maybe. I mean, they're probably chewing at their bones that are being brought back. Maybe they're nibbling on things, but I don't think so. Not weaned yet. Look at that older cub trying to drink. Mark, here go. Well, and you, Craig. Yeah, affirmative. Yeah, firm. I'll pull out when you get here. Sorry, just give that lock again. Okay, copy. So it's probably heading towards Twin Dams, maybe. Alright, copied. Do you know how old that bumper is? Yeah, we found him yesterday afternoon at Twin Dams, and then he crossed also on that eastern bank of the Milwaukee. So he must have come into Twin Dams in the afternoon to drink, and that's why he went back south. Interesting. Djuma has a kill just south of Gary, Maine. Okay, so now, sorry. Radio talk while we're watching these. Andrew, I had to turn you down. I was busy on the radio. Come again with what you had. Maggie, morning Maggie in Canada, asking if they would attack me if I tried to get out and take that rag away from them, or that scrap of whatever it was. I think that the cubs would probably dash for the den. Maybe one or two of the adults might run away. That female, that mom that's lying with her back to us at the back there, I think she might get aggressive. I have been on foot with hyena very often. I mean, I stand in my kitchen and I have hyena standing at my door. I sit at the fire at home and I have hyena coming up to the fire. They are not prone to attack, but this is a slightly different circumstance. We have youngsters here, that it is their den site, and while I have walked in on hyena at a den site, I've never approached it. There's been no need to approach it and to threaten their safety zone, their comfort zone. I'm certainly not going to try, Maggie. I'm not going to test any theories. It's difficult to say. I think different individuals would behave differently. and it's going to start warming up, and I think they're going to start winding down. I'm going to wait a little while longer. Craig is on his way here with his guests, and of course this behavior is not going to last forever, so we're going to give him a chance when he gets here to come and view them. Change of wind. You smell that, Alex? Slight change of wind direction. And hyena, not the nicest smelling children on the savannas of Africa. I hear a vehicle coming, so we're going to move along. Let's see what else we can find this morning. But we don't want to crowd these children, so we will get ready to leave. Bye bye hyenas, we'll see you later. Yeah, firm, I'm on my way out now. Bye bye hyenas. Morning, Barbara. Would a hyena develop an infection from another bite from rough play? Oh, it is possible. The bacteria, I guess, in their saliva, from what they eat, I guess there's bacteria there. I mean, just think of domestic cats and how abscesses develop in domestic cats after either being scratched or bitten, or infections develop. I guess it could be. But I suppose there's also, by the same token, there are also good bacteria or like an antibiotic type of thing in the saliva that also assists in cleaning wounds. Don't know, hard, it's another thing, very hard for me to comment on that since I've never really observed it. And I guess something that I'd have to read up on. Good morning.
How are you doing, sir?
Good, and you?
Oh, all right, thank
Morning,
you.
all.
Taking your branch for a drive this morning?
Yeah.
How many do you see down here?
The three little ones, the one older one, two more fuzz. Lovely. Playing. No, they were going wild. But they're going to go to sleep now. Have
You've
fun.
singing their lullabies already, everyone.
Enjoy.
Oh.
What causes the strong odor? most of the predators, Nancy, morning Nancy, most of the predators actually have a very strong smell, and a lot of it has got to do with their habits. Killing and eating things, and the residue of kills that, and the bacteria that live on their bodies. There's actually an handling lion, darting lion, a couple of occasions up in East Africa and here in South Africa, and wild dog in the past. It's always advisable to wear gloves, because you can actually you can absorb some of that bacteria through the skin, and it can even be fatal. I can't even remember what it is, but I just remember vets who had been on these darting exercises warning us that if you have a compromised immune system, such as I have, that it is not safe to handle these animals unless unless you're wearing gloves. And it's just combination of their lifestyle and what they eat and the residue of things that stay on their body, and the living organisms that come along with it. Of course, it's a bad smell to us. I mean, no, maybe the hyena love that smell. Maybe not love it, but they live with it. That is that the smell that they have is their individual. What's the word I'm looking for? Marker. It tells other hyena who they are without even having to see them. Hello, Brenda. Good morning, Brenda. Brenda is adamant that I answer this question, and I guess I'll have to get you better information or better. But Brenda's asking, what is it about hyena that make them closer or more cat family than dog family? If I remember correctly, it's got something to do with the skeletal structure, especially bone structure in the ear. Oh, I left the light behind. I need to look for the crab. There's a crab in a hole over there. The lights that we use at night for charging. As far as I know, there is similarities. There is common ancestry, not similarities. I think what it is really is a common ancestry with cats, but they must have branched off a long time ago, as did the viverids, the mongoose, because they too, I think, since hyena are closely related to mongoose, the viverids. I can't give you a definitive answer, Brenda. I'll have to, something I guess, have to look up. But I think overall, hyena or hyena, they don't necessarily have to be either dog or cat. They are just hyena. Maybe not satisfied with that answer because you want to really. Let me go to my books. I've got my big mammal Bible here. Smithers. I brought it back with me. Much too big to bring on drive. There's a volume of note. I'll see what Smithers says. Leopard tracks. Morning, Julia in Houston. There's a big leopard. Julia, just one moment, please. Craig come in? Did you come down Philemon's cut line? Okay, copy. I thought the Ingwem Konzo heading east. Right, so bull elephants. The question is, was this what, Julia? No? Does this cat might be up ahead or might be a treehouse dam? Wanting to know if a bull elephant during mating, does he penetrate the cow or does he just spray semen? No, he does actually penetrate. As far as I know. Can't imagine how it would work any other way. That accounts for the S shape of a male's penis, and it also accounts for the shape of the vulva on a cow and the positioning of the genitals. Interesting question. This is a big leopard that was walking here this morning. Heidi wants to know what crab, or Heidi sent an email, evidently crab, exclamation mark. Heidi, we have freshwater crabs here. That was a little mud wallow, and when it had water in, I found a crab there one day. And I have noticed crabs here before also. Well, everywhere I've been in the bush you find them sometimes on the edges of dams and water holes. And since that water's dried up, the crab is just still living in the burrow. It's probably going to have a long wait until the water comes back again. But they are semi-land crabs. They aren't that, they aren't that dependent on water. They do need it. They need it to breathe. They need it to hydrate, but they don't need it to breathe. They don't They can do without it for a while. I remember even finding crabs walking along the road after rainfall. I wonder when this leopard was here. It doesn't look too fresh. Might have been during the night. Let's see, did he go to the dam or did he carry on going east? That is the question. So I'm just going to have a quick look, see where his tracks have gone. Well, he turned in towards Spam Road. Turned in here, but I think that was only to spray. Mark, I didn't smell anything. Could have just been a little squirt. It looks like he came back onto the road heading down towards Philemon's Dip. No. Yes. Yes. Yeah, kitty, kitty, kitty. Quite fresh. But now nothing. So he left the road now. I mentioned onions. I did. Kevin in Boston. I don't recall. Remind me what I said about onions? But no, we have plants that are onion family, Kevin, but not onions, not edible onions. Okay, but this cat left the road somewhere. There's the bush baby tree. Okay, let's see, let's find, maybe head on to Weaver's Nest. Brent, come in. Where are you tracking now? Okay, copy. Confirm that looks like gorillas in corner. Yeah, good call. I'm trying to follow up on the mail around Philemon's Dip. I think we're going to do a loop around Treehouse Dam and come back again. If I don't find any tracks here on Weaver's Nest, could of course cross onto the northern side of Philemon's Dip. Hello, Oriole. Oriole calling. Okay, now that's confusing, but it could be the same cat because now their track's going the other way. Scott, morning Scott. Any update on the kahumas? Have they made a kill? No news this morning, Scott, but last night, yesterday, I think they were up on Torchwood. No kill that I know of. Bonnie, Pennsylvania, wanting me to elaborate, having mentioned a compromised immune system, and Bonnie saying that there's been mention of a transplant. Yeah, I did. I had a kidney transplant 11.5 years ago. It's my 12th year this year. Proud to say. 12 years of extra time on the planet. Lucky me. I was very lucky because I went into renal failure at the same time a kidney became available, so I didn't have to go into dialysis. And I think not being on dialysis, having gone from renal failure straight into the transplant, allowed me to walk out of hospital 10, 11 days after the transplant, and a few months later I was back in Kenya doing walking safaris, overnight walking safaris, and spent a few more years in East Africa after the transplant. But as much as I loved it up there, I wanted to get back home or back to South Africa because I missed the Timbavati terribly. I hadn't seen the Timbavati for something like 6 years. Because I'd been in East Africa and in the Cape for the transplant. And also I thought that it would be better to be back in South Africa to be closer to family, because I was missing family, and I thought that maybe I'd get to see my parents more often. Strange as it is, when I was in East Africa I saw them more often than I've been seeing them the last 3 years. I haven't seen them for nearly 3 years now, which is a long time living in the same country. Well, let's go see what's at Treehouse Dam, and then we'll go back to Philemon's cut line. And in the interim we'll see what else we can find. Brent is also on some leopard tracks, so I'm not going to spend too much time because we've got some other things to see and talk about, no doubt. And maybe we'll bump into this cat. Anyways, I like to talk about it because I remember a time when I was facing a transplant. It was daunting. It was mostly I think that the hardest thing to come to terms with was that I was under the impression that I'd have to live in the city for the rest of my life, because I didn't quite understand how transplants work. I was also under the impression that I would spend years on dialysis perhaps, and the prognosis wasn't good, that if I was on dialysis, the longer I was on dialysis, the less chance there was of having a successful transplant. Oh, hornbill. Red-billed hornbill. But also technology, medical technology and pharmaceuticals, drugs changed considerably over the years. When I was first diagnosed with a degenerative kidney disease back in, when was it, in about 2000, no, 1990, blah blah blah, when was it, 1990. It took 13 years of this degenerative disease to finally do my kidneys in. It was debilitating at first, but then I learned to live with it. I managed to get back to the bush. I was sorry, just to get the radio. But I still managed to live in the bush for many years with the kidney disease. And then there's some kudu. A little nervous kudu. And a hippo. And quite an active little hippo. Anyways, cut a long story short, when I was facing the news, I remember sitting in a doctor's office, and there was a chap, the nephrologist, who had just had his transplant, and he told me how life-changing it was, and it encouraged me a little bit. And then a coming here to Wild Earth and meeting people all over the world who either are facing the same thing, or who have had transplants, or who have donated organs. It's a wonderful thing to be able to encourage people and to give people hope, and it's not the end of the world, especially in these days, this day and age, where stem cell transplants and, well, transplants work even better nowadays than they did when I had it 12 years ago. I'm going to be on drugs for the rest of my life, but you can have transplants now where you don't even need to take the kind of medication that I do. Yeah, enough of that. If you're a transplant patient, if you're waiting for an organ, or you have had, or you'd like to talk about it, you're welcome to send an email and it'll be forwarded to me, and then I can get in touch with you. I have a transplant sister in Alaska, and we have other viewers, apart from Heather, who had a transplant while I've known her as a viewer. There are other viewers who have had transplants or who have donated organs, and it is like a little community. It's a very special thing to be given an extra few years of life. And one day I'll be able to grow them in a lab. The need for donors will be done away with. I think it's because there are not many donors in the world that there is such a huge list of people wanting organs. And if you think one cadaver can save so many people, so many parts of the body that can be transplanted. Cape Town, I'm not even sure which hospital it is, but just recently, the first successful penile transplant. Tygerberg, was it? First ever, and evidently 9 more on the cards. There have been arms, hands, faces, eyes, kidneys, liver, heart. And it's time to go and say hello to Brent, and we're going to say goodbye to the hippo. I'm going to carry on, go back and look for some leopard tracks. While you're with Brent, I'm going to get out and do some foot tracking, and I will see you in a little while, folks.
Morning, guys. Welcome on Drive this morning. Oh, hang on. Got it. Spiderweb. I hope you guys have had a good morning so far. Just to let you know, Brian's with me on camera, and at the moment we've been tracking a female leopard, which could be Krula, just from where she was seen on our neighboring property yesterday. Unfortunately, this is quite a difficult block, lots of long grass, big block, but we are trying our best, and hopefully we get some luck quite shortly. We're going to keep checking this area extensively this morning, and hopefully we get some luck. So welcome on Drive, and we will hopefully find a leopard. Communal spider nest. Quite incredible, these nests. This is a particularly impressive one. There can be a couple of 100 individuals in a nest like that, and it's the only communal spider species in the world. You can see quite a lot of exoskeletons of insects that they've brought in there. Quite often when you see a lot of these, they're not actually active, but this one is. Just see a spider. You can see spiders moving on the main stem. So there's slight movements. They're not very big.
It's horrible.
Fascinating. We're going to continue looking for the leopard. We're pretty sure is in this area. We heard some kudu alarm calling at a distance this morning, somewhere in this area. So that's why we're going very, very slowly through here. And hoping she either gets spotted by another animal, or we're lucky enough to bump into her. You can see this road. It's very difficult to follow tracks on these roads that are covered in grass. Good morning, Marco from New Jersey. Marco would like to know if we get any trapdoor or funnel web spiders in this area, and are they common? Yes, we do actually get quite a few different species of funnel web and trapdoor spiders, and they are relatively common. I will try to keep a lookout for them, but it's quite difficult when you're driving. But if I see a likely area, I will see if I can spot one of the trapdoors or funnel webs. Pretty sure the kudu we're in this general area, so that's why we're checking very, very carefully around here. So this is where we found the tracks this morning. I'm gonna zoom in on the tracks there. Am I too close? Okay, see they're the leopard tracks. And you can see my footprint just in front of it. So definitely in this area, and there are female leopard tracks, and it's very close to the last position Karula was seen. So I mean, it's always possible it's not her, but there's a strong probability it is. What we're going to do is we're going to continue down this road for a little bit, because the tracks did cut west into the block, but we've done about 3 circles now around this area, and if she was spotted, she might have moved off. So we're going to just extend our loops a little bit. And for those of you who are worried, I do know it's Karula's birthday, but I'm trying to just sort of keep the excitement down a little bit, just in case we can't find her. But I am aware, and thanks very much for letting me know. But please keep pestering Andrew. It's good for him. Good morning, Kim from Chicago. Kim would like to know if I've ever worked with Kevin Richardson. I have, Kim, on a couple of different shoots. I've worked as sort of a camera assistant and second cameraman and behind the scenes photographer slash filmer. So I've the last one that's actually on, I'm not sure which channel, I think it's on the Smithsonian, and on Animal Planet is that deadly, Killer IQ, lions versus hyenas. And I make a brief appearance hammering in some cardboard cutouts. Other than that, mostly behind the camera with Kevin. Good morning, Deborah from Ontario. Welcome on Drive. Deborah would like to know whether there are any venomous spiders here. Yes, Deborah, most definitely. The most venomous are actually quite widespread through the world. One of the most venomous, it's brown and black button spiders, also known as brown and black widows. But they are a very reclusive spider, although they are very commonly found around people's housings, where people, storerooms and sheds and things like that. But they are very reclusive, and you really have to annoy them to bite you. Probably the worst spider that bites most people and causes the most damage is a spider called a violin spider, and it looks like sort of like a daddy long legs. And they cause massive necrosis around the bite and are extremely painful. They also cause lymph nodes to swell up, and that's probably the worst spider that is the most common with bites. It's also quite common around people's habitation and storerooms, areas that aren't used often. Sorry, go again. Well, thank you everyone who's sending the emails in that are saying this email is just to pester Andrew. I really appreciate it. We need to keep him on his toes. Because he pesters us in our ears all the time. Hyena. Come on, Brian, spot a leopard.
I'm trying.
Good morning, Maggie from Canada. Maggie would like to know whether leopards always travel alone, or do male and female sometimes travel together. As a general rule, Maggie, in this part of the world, leopards are very much solitary, and will spend the majority of their time on their own. Females will travel with cubs with male cubs sometimes till they're up to about 18 months, 2 years old. Female cubs leave a bit earlier, probably just after over a year old. But male and females sometimes will travel together when they are mating, or sometimes the male will actually come and steal the kill from the female, but generally they're on their own. In other parts of the world, in Asia, Sri Lanka, India, places like that, leopards seem to be a little bit more social, and that is more because of encroachment by people and the leopards having to share a smaller space. There's some fascinating stuff that's been done in India on these leopards, a large amount of leopards sharing a very small area. But it's all quite new. But generally, I think if they had a choice, they are just solitary animals. There we go, just from Andrew. When he was in Sri Lanka, he saw 7 leopards together. And in the Sabi Sands, actually, I've seen 5 leopards in one sighting, but that was a very strange occurrence. Basically, there were 6 leopards in one sighting. There were 4 female leopards, all in estrus, and all trying to mate with one male, and one sub-adult male who hadn't quite decided to leave his mom, even though mom had decided it was time to leave him. And the females were all fighting and mating and fighting and mating, and the young male was just sitting in the tree going, he really didn't want to be there. Sorry, Andrew, can you go with that question again? Good morning, Shanae. Welcome back on Drive. Shanae would like to know whether I've ever had malaria or been bitten by anything venomous. I've had malaria a few times, Shanae. I'm actually not sure, I think around 27 or 28 times. I've had bilharzia 5 or 6 times, and I've had rickettsia once, and filaria twice.
What's filaria?
Filaria is this evil little bad word fly that lives in the Central African rainforest. We used to call them knuckle biters. They always used to bite you on your knuckles, and their larvae get into your lungs or into your eye or into your bloodstream. It's quite easily treatable, but when you live in those areas, you just every 6 months you just dose yourself with the medicine. They can get very bad. I saw a guy in the village in Gabon who had like 6 of those little parasites in his eye, and you can see them moving. And the problem is now you can't take the medicine once they're in your eye, because if they die in your eye, they rot and you lose your vision. So you actually have to go in an operation. The guy has to like take the maggots out of your eye. It's pretty gross. Come on, leopards. I think we just keep driving around this block all day. Eventually we'll see something. Sorry guys, I'm not really focusing on the birds and whatnot this morning. I'm really trying to find Karula, hopefully. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get around that area again where we heard the alarm calls, I'm just going to switch off for 5 minutes and try listen again. One problem is that she has gone into this block to the south of us. It's a very, very big, thick block with no roads and lots of these little drainage lines that make moving through it very difficult. But I haven't found any tracks crossing out, which doesn't mean she hasn't. It's always possible I might have missed tracks. Apparently everyone's quite grossed out by filariae. I was quite lucky, I never had them in my eye or anything like that. Sorry guys. You asked. Well, with all superheroes, you can never predict when they're going to arrive. So I think it would be a bit unfair to force the superhero to arrive on call.
It's true.
Okay, so there's Kudu over there. The track's coming here. You know, it's possible they might have seen her long distance. Good morning, Donna from Niagara Falls. Donna would like to know what are the most common animals poached apart from rhino and elephant. Sorry, this is just a bit of old pipe on the road. Oh, you have the earpiece, you can't get in the other way. Most of your smaller mammal species, you would actually probably find the most common animal poached is a cane rat, which is a large rodent that lives around watercourses and that. Very, very tasty. This flesh is very sought after. It's a delicacy with most tribes through Africa. But then also things like animals that are very habitual from a sort of subsistence or meat poaching point of view. I'm just going to switch off and listen here for a little bit. So things like warthogs that are quite easy to predict their movements if you find their hole, bushbuck and inyala that use paths regularly along drainage lines, also where there's enough sort of vegetation for the snare to be set up. And it depends on the area. So in East Africa, the wildebeest during the migration are poached very heavily. Eland and hartebeest in Zambia. Basically, yeah, but most common would probably be your smaller stuff: duiker, bushbuck, warthog, and cane rats. Okay, come on, just come on. Noise somewhere, please. Should we do it one more time?
One more time.
One more time around this block. Right?
Clancy in Ohio, good morning. Do I want to track? Or do I want to carry on being a cameraman? Definitely a cameraman. I'm not a guide or a tracker. I'd rather be behind the camera than on the camera, to be honest.
These testiculars have been alarm calling around here every time we drive past. But they don't sound excited enough like that it's a... I'm just gonna hit and hope. So what I'm going to do for a few seconds while we're listening, I'm going to have the earpiece out so I can hear a bit more, because it does dampen that. So while we're doing that, I'm going to speak about the buffalo thorn, or the Afrikaans name, which is quite a funny one. It's called a blink blaar wache bietjie bos, which basically means a shining leaf wait a bit tree. So you can see the leaves are quite shiny. They are actually edible. You can use them in salad. Don't taste very nice, but are edible. But in Zulu culture, it's a very, very important tree. So when traditionally in Zulu culture, people are supposed to be buried at their home kraal. It's like their homestead. And quite often with this day and age and people becoming more modern, a lot of people work far away from their original homestead, so in the cities like Johannesburg or Durban. And if someone dies and their family is still quite traditional in their beliefs, they will travel from the homestead and they will pluck a buffalo thorn branch, probably very similar size to this one, without the little tail here. And what this does is this is to catch the spirit. So even if the person was buried in Johannesburg or whatnot, they will take a branch to catch the spirit of that person, and they will take it to wherever the person died. They lay the branch on the grave, and the hooked thorn, am I too close? Yep. The little hooked thorn catches the spirit. Now on the return journey, this branch is representative of that family member who's passed on. And if you have to take a bus or a taxi or a train, they'll actually purchase a ticket for the branch, and the branch will have its own seat. They will buy cokes and food and whatnot for the branch, because it is representative of their family member who's passed. And once they reach their traditional home ground and where their sort of family burial is, which is generally at the top of the main cattle enclosure, they will place the branch, and the long straight thorn releases the spirit. So, not as common these days, but while I was younger, we actually used to see it reasonably often, people transporting the spirits of their passed on family members back to their traditional homes in Zululand and Ishowe and that area. There are still people who do it, but it's definitely not as common in this day and age. But other than that, you can use it as salad. The fruits are also edible, but none on the tree at the moment. Very, very little sweet red fruits, not much flesh on them. It's more fun, more pleasure sort of just sucking them. Okay, last loop around this block, and then we're going to have to come up with a new plan.
Neat, we'll find it this time around.
Yeah, hopefully. Did not hear a thing as well.
There she is right
You got it. A leopard has just walked into us. We had the feeling about all the stuff. I'm not sure if that's a female though.
I don't know who it is, but we found
No, that
one.
looks like. We'll have a look now. Well, we found a leopard, guys. Isn't that amazing? While we were sitting here, how's that for a bit of luck?
Perfect.
Nice. But we heard all that. Those birds. I said they've been alarming too long. I wonder if the leopard saw me and then just came to inspect. I think this looks like a young male though. It definitely isn't Karula, unfortunately. Young male. Just hang on 1 second. Drakensberger Mamba. I think this is Kunyuma. Judging by, I just need to have a look at his spots. Or is this quarantine?
That's quarantine.
It's quarantine.
Yeah.
Did you see that double join on the top lip? I think this is quarantine, but once we get a good look.
Yeah, that's low snarl.
No snarl. Very good point. We're just gonna get back. Oh, please go to the nice main road. But now these are definitely not the tracks we were following this morning. But this is almost exactly where the kudu were alarming, and obviously these testiculars saw him, and he was lying down, and obviously my little stomp around maybe just got a little bit curious. And it looks like quarantine, but we will confirm when we can get a better visual. Station's located Madode Ingwe. He is mobile west on Mamba Road. Well, so that fourth loop around the block turned out to be FM, make your way. Copy, yeah, we are probably only 50, 60 meters west of the Drakensberg junction at the moment. So, if this is quarantine, this is my first sighting of him. And while we were not live this morning, Brian and I were chatting about the pressure building with our big cat streak. So today is 14 days, 2 weeks, with cats every day. Not every drive, but every day.
I think it's only been one or two drives that we...
Yeah, only 1 or 2 drives that we haven't had a cat. Please don't go in there. It is a Tamburti thicket. Go ahead. Hopefully make your way. He is going into a little drainage line at the moment. It is quite thick, but hopefully he will come back out into the road. That's affirmative. Wonder if he wanted a piece of my buffalo thorn. He's sitting down. I'm just going to see if we can get it. Oh, he's on the move again. Hopefully it comes. Oh no, don't go that way. Okay. I'm going to try get up around this drainage line and around him. There we go, got him again. See him there?
Yeah.
The stations are, he's headed south into the block. I've still got him. If he keeps moving more south, I have dropped a Terminalia branch on the right hand track if you're heading west on Mumba Road. Keep an eye on him. I'm going to try. There's a lot of big dead stumps there. Oh, he's coming towards us. Sort of. Copy, well done. Do you have an ID on that animal? Copy, thanks. Male or female? Copy, thanks. We are in quite a thick area already. Might be easier around also. Not going to get through here. Maybe we will. No, I'm not going to get through. Are we behind? behind us, right? Try and find a way around. Right, can I go? Okay. I'm going to ask you to watch the leopard. Sorry guys, you just went through a really thick patch. I couldn't get through. There he is, still got him. He's here. Decided to have a chase the Franklin. Definitely not making it easier for us where he's going this morning. Sorry guys, he's giving us a, he's seriously gone into the bushes here. We're trying to stay with him. I've lost visual for the moment. We got stuck between a very big branch that would have possibly given us a flat tire. So I had to be quite careful trying to get over it. But I think he was moving down that path. I'm just going to try and find an open area. I can't go where he goes. Watch out for the thorns there, bro. think we've lost him, unfortunately. We were going to try, it's a little bit more open coming up ahead. Tire's fine, we're a bit paranoid. But we got him again. Just trying to figure the best way around. Without this is a little bit nicer country. Meriden says I'm going to get a whipping when I get back for treating the vehicle so mean. Fortunately, we have very understanding bosses who understand that our vehicles are tools to get you the sightings. So as long as we don't drive like complete bananas and wantonly destroy the vehicles, we are allowed to take the vehicles through what most people would consider beyond what a vehicle should be able to do, but also these vehicles are designed for this. When he's completely changed direction now. He was going west, now he's going east. I wonder if he's trying to track his mom. Now he's going north. Thanks very much, Virginia. Virginia said she would gladly take my whipping as long as I get the sighting. Really appreciate that. Well, theoretically, we should be coming back to another road at some point. Yeah, from I heard that sighting, I just didn't want to leave from here at the moment. But I'm still quite close. We'll see if he goes into the thickets what happens. What a nice shot. Isn't he pretty? Lovely little bit of light in his eyes as well. Stop guy there.
Yeah, it's not right.
Hello, big boy. Now going back east again. Oh, he might jump up onto the log. You clear? Yeah. Perfect. Just using a little bit of elevation.
If we didn't see him there, we would never have seen him in this block.
Never. If he didn't happen to come investigate. No spider web, I can see. Oh, nice. Say when? It looks like he could definitely, he's a little bit hungry. Well, thanks for the compliments, Deborah. Brian and I really appreciate them. road, doesn't decide to walk on it, just to keep us going. Mentions this, Madorengue has now crossed Bateleur Road, heading north into the block. Sorry if you hear a few clicks, just my camera. He's changed his mind again. He has literally gone all directions of the compass this morning. It's getting warmer. Let's try and get around to the front of him so we can see his pretty face. Good morning, Mark from Salt Lake City. Mark seems to think that quarantine might be bigger in the head and shoulders than his brother, Djuma. Without seeing them right next to each other, it is quite difficult. But I would say that they're pretty similarly sized. He might be slightly thicker in the neck, but oh, where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Seriously can't make up his mind which way he wants to go today. Hold on. Going to be a bit of a bump. All our tyres still intact, that side? Yeah, good. The last thing you want to do while following a leopard is have to stop to change a tyre.
Quickest tyre change ever.
Yeah. So now he's heading west again. Really can't make up his mind. Don't go in there. That is a very bad place to go, mister. Andrew just let us know we're getting a lot of love and compliments. Well, we thank you very much, everyone. We really appreciate it. We love being able to show you the things that we see. Craig, coming. Oh, thorns. Quarantine male is now heading west on Bachelor Road towards the Molwati drainage line. We're quite lucky, a bit of perseverance and a spot of luck paid off this morning. Round and round and round. Good morning, Alice from Western Massachusetts. Welcome on Drive. Alice seems to know, says he seems to know the best places to pose for us as we go on Drive. Alice, what we do is when you see a fallen down log or something like that, just with leopards' general behavior, they'll try to get a bit of elevation to look. So as soon as we see something like that in front of him, we'll always try to position the vehicle because we know he's going to stand up on the log or maybe stop in that area for a few seconds longer than he would if he was just walking. So he is very, very kind to us, but also it's a little bit of trying to read what the animal is going to do before he does it. So to try and get into the position to get the best shot. Good morning, Selina. Selina would like to know if Kunyama and Quarantine met up, would they choose to interact or fight? It's very difficult to say. I haven't spent enough time in the area when they were with them. They're getting to the stage now where they might still interact a little bit, but they also might start sort of getting a little bit aggressive towards each other. It would actually be a really, really interesting interaction to watch. Right? Just quickly. We're just going to shoot onto something very quickly. We will stay with the leopard, but it's not often you see a a Birchall's kukul sitting so nicely. They're normally skulking around. But we're going to keep up with the leopard. I just sort of show you that very quickly. We don't want to lose the leopard though. Oh, very, very polite young boy. Interesting to see what he does when he gets down to the main drainage line, whether he decides to rest up in the cool or head towards a water source. So go with that name again. Andrew, can you go with that name again? Well, there's been some mention of Brian being a genius on the camera. I would have to agree with everyone out there.
Thanks everyone.
Bob G, Virginia, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Brian is a genius on the camera. Thanks very much, Marilyn. Don't do it. If he goes in there, it's very close to where his brother had that bushbuck kill, and from this side of the drainage line, very, very difficult to get into. Ish. There. Oh dear. See how in the shadow he almost disappears. Looks like he might have spotted something. Oh, no. It'll be interesting to see which way he goes from here. Unfortunately for us, I'm looking carefully around and none of the ways look particularly promising, apart from maybe straight. But if he goes either to the left or the right, we're literally in between two erosion systems, little drainage lines. Oh, there's a very pretty bird. One hop out, it's called a southern bobo. You can hear them calling. Good morning, Anuska. Welcome on Drive with us this morning. Anuska would like to know if a male leopard reaches maturity, would he be able to mate with his own mother? Sorry, I'm just going to answer. Sorry, I've got someone else calling me. Just give me a second. Sorry, confirm there is a station looking for me. Yeah, I've just lost visual now. Just give me 30 seconds. Can you see him, guys?
No, he's coming close.
Oh. Oh, he's right here. He's literally right next to us. Couldn't see him. There he goes. Oh, Craig, I've still got visual, but he's heading into a difficult area. West, but he's now quite close to the drainage line where we had his brother the other day, but on the western side of, on the eastern side of Batalia. Copy. What's your position at the moment? So copy. If you get onto Batalia, he's stationed at the moment just off the road, but he is looking to move. So as it's getting warmer, you can see he's stopping more frequently. He's also moved down towards a drainage line that is looking where you can probably find some cool sand to rest on during the day. But unfortunately, I'm hoping he doesn't go that way, because I don't know if we're going to be able to follow him. Oh dear. We'll try for as long as we can. Watch the thorns on the left there. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to push that. It's falling down the branch. Let's hope it doesn't swing. Oh, I lost my earpiece. I'm hoping he just stops under that. There we go. On the termite mound, like a good leopard. Sorry, I lost my earpiece. Go again. Copy, no problem. Okay, I'm a bit more happy with the situation now. Just looking. I mean, it's not the most ideal place to off-road, but I'm confident if he heads down into the drainage line, we'll be able to follow him. Craig coming. Craig coming. Just stop. You just went past me. I'm directly opposite you. If you can get in from that side, he is moving towards the drainage. There's 2 dead knob thorns. You should be able to get my visual from there. I think you should be able to get in from here. He's just to the south of me, on top of a termite mound. I don't know if you can see that jackalberry. He's busy sitting on top of the termite mound below that jackalberry, but his general direction has been towards the drainage. Copy. Sorry if you hear a few clicks, guys, it might be my camera. Oh, isn't he a good looking boy? Yeah, they heard something there. His ears almost picked up. It looks like he's going to move again. Hopefully he walks towards us. See that very distinctive top lip pattern, one of the signifiers of quarantine on his right side. Those sort of two spot patterns above his whiskers, the top ones sort of merged together. Definitely not looking settled. Good morning, Rick and Susie from Hawaii. Rick and Susie are wondering if I post the pictures that I take on drive. Yes, I do. I post on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook. Well, I just do one and the clever machine puts it on everything. I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to technology. But yeah, you can find me on, sorry, 1 second. Oh, there we go. On Twitter at Brent Leo Smith. On Facebook, you can find me under my name. Sorry, Rick and Susie, I just need to deal with it. Negative, but it's a difficult access from Badalea, especially with a long vehicle. Copy, he's lying up now, in the same position, underneath that, or near that jackleberry. Copy, will do. Sorry, go again, Andrew. There's a lot of chatter on the radio channel, on the Game Drive channel. Good morning, Anna. Welcome on Drive. it's getting quite warm already. I would guess it's probably 28, 29, close to 30 degrees C. We can ask Andrew in FC to check on the computer for us, and we can get an exact temperature in degrees Celsius and Fahrenheit. And Fahrenheit. So it's about 30 degrees Celsius, which is just under 90 degrees Fahrenheit. About 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And it is, what's the time? Do you know?
22.
And it's 20 to 9 in the morning, and we're already up around close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We're definitely going to stay with him. He's hungry. In the next little bit, I'm just wondering whether he might move into the drainage line, and obviously having a much better idea where he decided, the area he rested up during the day, will make it a lot easier for us to find him again this afternoon. Good morning, Vicky from Texas. Vicky would like to know, do leopards get a lot of bites from ants and spiders? Well, Vicky, it'd be quite difficult to prove if they were bitten by spiders. I don't think I've ever seen a leopard bitten by a spider. But ants, yes, they do get bitten quite frequently. There's a particular species of ant that's quite common in the Sabi Sands, and it's called a pugnacious ant. And obviously the name says it all. Even if you walk near their holes, they swarm around your feet and bite you. And I have seen leopards get quite annoyed with pugnacious ants before. But generally they would try and not lie down in an area.
Find you on Facebook.
Yes, I'll give you, send you a message. Okay, I hear you.
Hello.
Just hold this bar aside for me. Hi everyone, welcome back to Wendy. We're still around Treehouse Dam. We've been looking for a few things. Sorry, I was just sitting and chatting to Craig as we came live, trying to swap information. I'm still not really sure of. I went walking around Treehouse Dam. A little bit difficult with a lot of buffalo around, and tried to pick up on tracks. Found some lion tracks there too. I believe Styx lions are down on Chitwa Chitwa, near the dam wall, down near the dam on Chitwa Chitwa. And I'm not sure if maybe Styx, because I know the Styx used to come to Treehouse Dam a lot, and it's possible that maybe they just touched on Treehouse Dam coming up from the south and then went over to Chitwa Chitwa. It's possible. There aren't any other lion that I could think of that would be around Treehouse or come past Treehouse Dam. And the closest lion two that have been found this morning have been Chitwa Chitwa. Other than that, I believe you've been having some fun with Brent and fantastic sighting with is it Quarantine Male, I think, that you might have been with. And evidently another leopard that was found up at Buffelshoek Dam. They say it was a female. I think they've lost her by now, and that could very well have been Karula. I am now we're leaving the treehouse area. It's starting to get very hot, so whatever is around there is going to be in the shade already. Hopefully might find some more track, but I think I've exhausted my tracking time for this morning. Find an elephant, I think. There've been some elephant around, but I noticed that there was one herd that was around Treehouse Dam, and there was also a herd that had been at Twin Dams, but they've all gone south. All of those ellies seem to have headed south. Hyena tracks. I want to go back past Gari Dam. Seems like you lost signal from Brent. And could be coming back again. In the meantime, a buffalo around, lots of hyena tracks on the ground. The hyena seemed to have been quite active last night. I did hear them during the night. Here, paradise flycatcher. Find them. Definitely a pair of paradise flycatchers flying around in that drainage line. I haven't forgotten either that there are a couple of birds being requested. I haven't heard or seen any yet. One was, I think Marco, New Jersey, wanted to see black-collared barbets. Chris wanted to know if we could find green woodpeckers, which is also the red-billed woodpeckers. And Chris was also asking about sunbirds, but now sunbirds, very, very tiny little birds, very hard to film. They move very fast. Now they look very similar to hummingbirds. They, I suppose you could call it parallel paths of evolution. I don't think there is any genetic link between sunbirds and hummingbirds. Our sunbirds here in Africa, although they drink nectar and they have adapted, their beaks have adapted to drinking, and tongue for that matter, for drinking nectar from flowers. They don't hover, our sunbirds. Our sunbirds sit on flowers. They very, very seldom hover. Interesting how the day changes from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Currently, really lovely blue sky. All that cloud burnt away already. In for another hot day. Maybe, just maybe, something's coming to the water at Djuma Dam, Gowrie Waterhole, Gowrie Dam. Whichever way you want to look at it. Dead wood. Ah, Brent's got my binoculars. I have to use my camera to zoom. Between those two dead trees there's a little stick sticking up with a grey bird on it. There he goes, flying. It's going to be mobbed by others. Brenda wants to know if any fond memories that I can share with you. Fond memories of Karula. Many. I'm trying to think. Oh, the times when she used to come into camp and play with the laundry hanging on the line. The times that I'd open my door of my little wooden cabin in the old camp that we stayed in, and there would be Karula's footprints outside my door. I'm trying to think. Shanae, Chris, Anna and Judith and Raisa, Jody, New Mexico, Jessica. I guess you're all getting it right. Can't mistake it for anyone else, these two. Unfortunately, I don't have my binoculars with me, so I can't see. I'm thinking that this is the one with the yellow eye. Is that got a yellow eye? The female? Somebody says the baby deliverer. Yes, indeed. Vic and Sharon. Everyone's saying saddlebull stork. Yes, indeed, saddlebull stork. But interestingly, there's a lot of action going on with a bird of prey in a tree being mobbed by starlings. So can't really see it, it's a little bit far, but in that dead tree is a bird known as the African harrier hawk. It's being mobbed by starlings. It looks like it was digging in some of the holes in that dead tree. It's a little bit far away to really see. They've stopped mobbing it now. Unless, they're going back again. Definitely digging around in holes, but a bit too far to get on camera, I suppose. Lorraine saying another Karula moment was at times when Karula would have been sleeping and the cubs, and in Mission in Duna used to spend a lot of time on the verandas of the guest bungalows at the lodge. That's also true. Remember that? It's hard. It's kind of hard to just in the spur of a moment to think of things. It would be easier to have give it a bit of thought, thinking back to all the times. I mean, there was the time we watched her mating with Yambilu Jordan just behind me down the drainage line. There was the time she was mating with Yambilu Jordan outside Tara's room. There were quite a lot of moments. I mean, also just special times. One of the times was a time when she made a kill, a very quiet impala kill right next to the vehicle. But happy birthday to Karula. I hope you've enjoyed the morning. It's been really great from my side. And I'm sorry I missed the leopard, but I'm glad you all got to see the leopard. Hope you have a pleasant night's sleep. If you're all going to bed, it must be middle of the night or early morning for some of you. And for those of you ahead of us, New Zealand, Shanae, Diane up in New Zealand, and those of you in Australia, Fiji, that part of the world, enjoy your week coming up. We're going to be seeing you this afternoon, and don't remember we have Fireside Chat this evening. From Alex behind the camera and myself, Mark, Brian and Brent and something on the vehicle, on the other vehicle, Andrew in final control. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Love you lots. Goodbye.